Well, hello, my fabulous friends. I hope you're doing well. Well, this was a request on X, and I thought it was a great question. What do the Middletons think of what has happened to Catherine? What do they think of, are the royals protecting her? I'm not saying William, I'm talking about the palace. I'm talking about, overall, what are they thinking? You know what? Let's just put it that way. What are the Middletons? What are their biggest concerns? What are they thinking? Um, do they know? Do they pay attention to what the Sugars did to Catherine? Are they that savvy on X or social media? Something tells me they aren't. And the Middletons include Pippa and James, but mostly her parents. How do they feel that, she's being treated, being respected? How do they feel about the royals overall and how they're treating Catherine and, protecting her and standing up for her? And what's going on there? What's their real feelings? We're digging a little bit deep into some gossipy territory here, but it's all fun and games. Tarot reading for fun and entertainment purposes only. Shall we begin? Oh, look how chatty these cards are. Oh, they're like, finally, you're asking me this. We want to tell. Do tell. Oh, Four of Pentacles. You know what? They keep their private feelings to themselves. And they keep a very tight ship. And that's why we have to ask, because we don't hear much. Like, we hear from Uncle Gary. Uncle Gary will spill the beans. But as for the Middleton family, they don't say anything to anyone. They keep it quite tight within the family. They understand the media. They understand, anything that comes out will be used against Catherine. And so they keep it quite tight. They've got a very tight circle. Two of Swords. Yeah. You know what? They've made up their mind. They aren't talking about it. Nine of Wands. They feel embattled. But they feel they're winning the battle. They feel it has been a battle. It has been a battle, but they feel like they're winning the battle. Um, you think about it. Their family was thrust into the spotlight as well, and horrible things have been said about Carol. And James, and they're battling through it. This also tells me they're sticking together here. Knight of Cups. And the Chariot in reverse. I don't know if that Chariot is William or if it's them feeling like they really have no control over it. So they're just going to always offer up something sweet and nice because they have no control after it leaves them. And that's so true. The media can definitely do their own spin on things. And I'm wondering if they just put on a smile. They're, only offer sweet and nice things. They would never say boo about the royal family or anything. And we see that here with the Two of Swords in reverse. They've made up their mind as a family. They stick together and they've made up their mind, and they're down this one path of being quiet and keeping it to ourselves. Because once it leaves us, we have no control over what happens to it. Knight of Wands. Three of Swords in reverse. Have they been betrayed? I'm wondering if they have said something to Megan, when they were all friendly, right? They would have been at a funeral together, at a jubilee together. There would have been other family things. And I'm wondering if this is my Megan card, if they said something to Megan and then they were betrayed. So that taught them a fabulous lesson. The Fool in reverse. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. They got fooled. They got fooled by Megan. They thought what they were saying was private. And Megan doesn't say, and then the Middleton said this. What she says is, a source close to the family says, and then the Middletons would have known it's what they said, right? A source close to the family said that Catherine said this, or, you know, Louis was this, or George was that, or, right? A source close to the family indicated there was troubles between Catherine and William, and they've been betrayed, and I think that's where the embattled comes from. And so they've had to learn some hard lessons about things. 9 of Cups in reverse. They wish they wouldn't have said anything to Megan. They'll never do that again. They'll never, ever, 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 ever talk to her again. They wish they wouldn't have done that. 5 of Pentacles. They feel like outsiders. They definitely feel like outsiders, and they definitely feel poor around the royals. Right? I mean, who wouldn't? Even though they have their own, money, they feel impoverished around the royals, and they definitely feel like outsiders. They do. And I'm not saying that the royals haven't invited them in or embraced them. It's just, I think that would be a natural feeling. You know, their great wealth and, I want to say poshness. Like, oh my God, what fork do I use? Or, even though you think you're well mannered, I think coming into a royal situation, I would feel very intimidated. Very intimidated. And I consider myself very well mannered after living in Europe. I still would feel very intimidated eating dinner with the royals. Like the protocol and the rules. And, I definitely would feel like an outsider because they grew up with this. Right? The royals grow up learning all these rules and they learn them by osmosis. But they definitely feel poor and outsiders. And again, I'm not saying that the royals actually make them feel that way. Um, it's just that's how they feel. Just acknowledge it. Queen of Swords. Queen of Swords. I think that, Temperance in reverse. I think with this Queen of Swords here is telling us they feel like the royals are keeping their obligation. They're part of the deal. Right? To make sure that Catherine has everything that she needs to be successful in the position that she's going to be in, and as the queen, as the king's mother. I think they feel like the royals are doing well for her in that regard, that they haven't dismissed her, or they're really, and we can see the results of that. I mean, I think Catherine had a bit of certain je ne sais quoi coming into it. She looks like a very already well-mannered person, eager to learn, eager to please. That seemed just to be her personality. And I think, she just really embraced this role. And we can see as she matures, we can see her as queen quite easily. And you even think about Diana, when, mind you, though, Diana was quite a bit younger. She was 36 when she died. But even still, as Diana was going into her 30s, and even if they weren't divorced, like she just, as beautiful as she was and the way she carried herself, I couldn't see her as queen as much as I can see Catherine as queen. You know what I mean? And even to this day, I don't know if I could see Diana on the throne per se. There's just something very youthful about Diana and mischievous. Not saying she didn't have the protocol of being a royal. I mean, let's face it, her ancestry is much deeper than even the royal family. But I think you know what I mean. Catherine is much more focused. Let's put it that way. Catherine is much more focused on the job. Temperance in reverse. There's parts of it they aren't very happy about. The Magician. Ooh, 9 of Swords in reverse. the Hierophant in reverse, 10 of Cups upright, and the High Priestess in reverse. I think they aren't extremely overall happy with the firm, some of the decisions the firm has made. They aren't very happy with that, about some of the things, but they're very happy that Catherine's happy in her family. And they're happy that Catherine has a happy family life. And I'm wondering if some of this stuff with the Palace, the Hierophant here, and the Nine of Swords in reverse, and the Magician, and the Temperance here. I'm wondering if some of this is the Palace not acting on what some of the sugars are doing or saying about Catherine. You know, especially when she's going through that cancer. Like, so mom and dad might not be on X. They might be. I mean, they own their own business. They might be social media savvy. But you can better believe Pippa and James are on social media. And I think that they may have, you know, the family discussed what's going on with the sugars and the terrible, terrible things they were saying about Catherine. They just really weren't happy with how the Palace was handing that out. Or, you know, perhaps they weren't happy with the lack of support that Catherine was getting with that. There's something here they were quite upset about. And with the Palace being here and the Nine of Swords and the Magician, I'm thinking it's telling me when that, because the Magician would be like the spin doctoring and everything, and the where's Kate hashtag, and I think they're mad that, or not mad, I think actually, I think they were quite upset that nothing was being done about it. And they were just happy that Catherine has a happy family. The High Priestess in reverse, Ace of Swords upright, the Hanged Man in reverse. They certainly see the royal family in a whole different light. Ace of Cups in reverse, and Four of Swords in reverse, and the Moon in reverse. Boy, oh boy, you know what? Since they shed a lot of tears over Catherine's cancer and her surgery here. This is really, well, of course, that's their daughter, their sister. They were quite upset about it. They actually want the truth to come out one day. Here's her surgery. Here's the secrets around her surgery. And they have now seen everything from a different point of view once Catherine had her cancer. They hope that truth comes out one day. I think in some respects they might think, well, if you just tell the truth of what it was, then, you know, people will stop the rumors or stop all this stuff. And that could be when she came out and just said she had cancer, when she was on that little movie on the bench. But I think there's still something here that there's something here that they're saying, just tell the truth about what it was. And then people will see like how much you really actually had to fight about it. But of course, they're respecting that that's Catherine's decision. This has been quite enlightening. Huh. So overall, it's 50-50. They're there's some things that they know are completely out of their control. They know they need to be quiet so the media doesn't take things out of context, and anything they do show the media is sweet. And here's an offering, here's a story that you probably want. Yes, we will do your interview. See, the clock agrees with me. You know, Pippa agreed to those pictures of them on holidays, and like, Kate, you can have that, etc., etc. So they do offer, knowing that once it's left them, they have no control over what happens to that picture. So that's why they're very, very cautious of what they say, because they have been made fools of before by Meghan. Meghan taught them a very valuable lesson. And they were more upset with the firm, the Palace, that they didn't do anything to stop that nonsense. And Catherine's cancer really shook them up quite a bit. But they wish that she would come out with the truth, but they respect her decision. All right, well, that was actually kind of interesting reading. YouTube's going to show you another video you possibly haven't seen. Why don't you click on that and we'll see you over there. Thanks for watching. Take good care. Bye for now.